As you know, I'm Stefan Vidiswasky, Lead Officer for CLPL and Curriculum Development. To my left is Ian McDermott. He's the Senior Professional Learning Officer for West Lothian. Ian and myself are working extremely closely. We've had 4 or 5 meetings now, I think.
About that, yeah.
About that, and we're on the phone to each other pretty much every week, talking about how we can move things forward. To my right is Stephanie Ross. She's our Education Scotland link in terms of teacher leadership and professional learning. So between us, we've got, we think, a pretty good handle on what we need to be doing, and we've got a pretty good handle on the expertise that we've got in the RIC around us. So, what you signed up for, or unless you're just blagging it and being here today, is that I'm going to share with you what our Forth Valley and West Lothian RIC programme is going to look like this year. You're going to have an opportunity to evaluate that and give us some feedback on it and talk about what's going to be offered in terms of the year ahead. We are also going to co-create some of these, or discuss some of these questions. We're going to think about why CLPL programmes are essential for schools. We're going to, if we get time, we're a little bit time constrained, we're going to think about the challenges and opportunities raised by andragogy and heutagogy. We're going to think about how we can leverage expertise and experience, how can we co-create sustainable opportunities, and then we're going to think about how do we know if we're successful, fundamentally at the end. So, please have a conversation with people sitting next to you, introduce yourselves. Could you just start off by saying, which teacher has had the biggest impact on you and why? Just take a minute, please. There you go. It is essential, I think you would agree, that we get this right, because the impact that a teacher can have on anybody is phenomenal. So I'm going to pass you over to Stephanie just now, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the evidence behind why we know this is such an important thing.
Just to give you a little bit more about myself, so my name's Stephanie, as Stefan said. I work with Education Scotland, but and the team is called the Professional Learning and Leadership Team, formerly known as SCEL. So more people know SCEL as the name at the moment than they know the new team name. So what I would like to discuss with you, I have responsibility for the Teacher Leadership Programme. So very big on everything to do with professional learning, teacher agency and the empowerment of teachers. So I'd like to go through why professional learning is essential for the teachers of Scotland and indeed any teacher anywhere. So we'll start off with some figures. If you look, there's been lots of studies. This is one from Vivian Robinson, and I've got 2 more to show you. So she was talking, what impact has the biggest on pupils. So if you look straight away there, the effect size of the green bar, leading teacher learning and development, has been seen to have the greatest impact. And the same can be said for this study here. Roles that impact on student outcomes, the effect size of teacher development is way beyond any of the other ones that exist there. And one that everyone will probably know, John Hattie, sitting right at the top, collective teacher efficacy. Now that's a little bit different, because we're starting here, teacher development, teacher learning and development, that's quite individual based. But when John Hattie, he sees collective teacher development. Now probably the difference I would see in that is when individual teachers, when they start to build up their own capacity, when we have enough teachers together who have that agency to decide the professional learning and how that impacts on themselves and the children in front of them, then we start to get a collective culture of learning in schools, and that's when professional learning starts to become really transformative. Now, as well as having impact on pupils, their learning and their outcomes that we see in the classroom, professional learning is also really, really essential for teacher development. I think sometimes that becomes lost. Obviously, everything we do, we want it to, have a positive outcome on the children, but we've got to start with us. We are the people in front of the children, so we have got to have, that collective capacity as well. So there's a really nice quote here, and it said, when we look at the leadership development of Scotland's teachers, or Britain's teachers, it found out that they want the opportunity to reflect on the heart and the soul of the work. So Simon Sinek, he calls it the why of what you're doing, and he believes that And when I reflect on it, I tend to agree. People don't buy into what you do, they buy into why you do it. So when it comes to professional learning, it's the why that underpins it all. You know, what do you actually want to achieve? What do you believe education should stand for? Because all the professional learning that you do and the beliefs that you have, they manifest themselves to be what you do in the classroom. So to start us off, what I would like to do is explore your professional learning why. So on your seat, you should see there is a little template that looks like this. If anyone's not got one, I can pass you one. And like we heard at the start, you know, professional learning should underpin everything that happens in Forth Valley and West Lothian. But in order to get to that point, you need to know why you're doing it, why it's important. So, what I would like you to do is to take a few minutes, and you can discuss with each other if you want. See if you can answer these, and if you can unlock your why, because in the day-to-day sort of going about classroom, sometimes the why gets put to the back because there's so much up at the front. So, like that desire to explore the heart and soul of your work, this is your opportunity to kind of give that the time and space that we sometimes don't get every day. So please take a few minutes to consider your why. Any of the resources we've used today could be usable in schools, in, you know, staff rooms, at cat nights, or however you want to use it, because this is a really good starting point for staff. Because once they unlock the why, everything else seems to follow naturally. You know, after it, once you realise why you're doing something, the what and the how becomes easier to manage. So it would be a tool you could use. I'm really sorry, colleagues, we're probably going to have to move on because of the timings, but please do take the time to complete that, because it will be worthwhile for thinking about your next steps in professional learning. When I think about my own professional why, I see it as twofold. I see it as meeting my own professional needs, so to have the sort of the autonomy and the direction that I want to take, the leadership in my own context, but also see it as meeting a need for the pupils, or indeed the adult learners that I deal with as well. So it's meeting needs for both, and then hopefully Stefan will be able to move on to tell you how you can engage with the Forth Valley and West Lothian professional learning offer to help you meet that why.
Okay folks, so phones out if you've got them. If you go to our Twitter feed, you will see that I have posted a CLPL workshop form. So I'm secure enough in my confidence that you can type away on that, and it's fine. Go ahead, and as I'm talking through this, feel free to engage. This is the rollover from last year that I'm not really going to spend much time talking about, because this is already existing, this is already taking place. What I'm going to talk to you about today are the new offers that we've put into place moving forwards. So, about these offers, they are going to be standardised sessions from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. The reason for that is because twilight sessions didn't tend to be well attended, and it was difficult convincing head teachers to let colleagues out for the whole day. It means you can have your lunch, set up your classes to go, and then go and get home in time for the kids if you've got them as well. Our colleagues will attend all 4 sessions between October and March, and this is completely opt-in. So it's not the case that somebody is going to be sent to these sessions, that's not going to be the case. It's going to be the case that head teachers are going to have that discussion with you, say, yeah, I think this makes sense for you to go in this, and then away you go. The idea as well is that we have pooled all our expertise and experience from across the region and pulled that together in order to offer really high quality learning experiences. And there is an expectation that if you attend these events, because there will be limitations on our capacity obviously, that you will take that back to your centres and to your neighbourhood schools and share what you've learned there too. So first of all, we are going to be running practitioner inquiry. Steph's helped me with that, with organising colleagues that have been through the SCEL Supporting Teacher Leadership and Practitioner Inquiry course. So we've got colleagues there that are going to be leading on that. We are going to be working with our EdSite teams, our ASN service managers, to put together an offer about specifically additional support needs. The first two sessions actually are going to be about, right, what are the gaps that we've got in our context, and then the next two sessions, kind of in January and March time, are going to be about, right, filling these gaps. What do we do to actually take the next step, and how do we meet these young people's needs? Formative assessment, we know that there's so much evidence documentation there to say that this is going to have an impact on raising attainment. So we're going to have colleagues that are expert in leading formative assessment to take a lead on that. Data literacy tracking and monitoring, Michael's actually taking the lead in that, who's doing the course next door. That's going to be about using tracking tools. It's going to be about rigorous analysis of data that lead to strategic decisions. It's not just the data for data's sake. It's the case of actually how do you implement that data into actions. Hattie's High Impact Cocktail is something that I convinced Siobhan to let me run with. So I'm excited about that. I'll be leading that with a few others. We're actually going to look at the research done by John Hattie on visible learning, and we're going to see, let's look at these top factors, and let's have a look at how this could have an impact on what we are doing. And excitingly, Laura unfortunately just left, but she's going to be leading a virtual classroom pilot where colleagues are going to have the opportunity to get together and pilot a virtual classroom setting. They're only going to meet once, and then all the other sessions are going to be committed virtually. So that's a really exciting thing there too. We have delivering STEM. We are working very closely with our colleagues in Forth Valley College. We're going to pull their expertise in to help us out through their STEM hub. We're looking from a primary school, for primary school and early years colleagues, there's more of an emphasis on building the confidence and the delivery of like technical STEM lessons. Whereas in secondary, where the expertise tends to be there because you've got subject specialists, it's more about getting that pathway going on, the accreditation for what the pupils are doing. So that's what we're going to be working on there. And when I had my job interview, Rona will know because she was there, she interviewed me, this is the one that I'm pushing through, and I think is probably one of the most significant for us. It's going to be staff health and wellbeing, it's going to be reducing workload, and we are going to form a regional team. EIS and SSTA are completely on board with this. I'm on the phone to them regularly. They are going to offer us advice and support on how we can tackle this priority. So that's something that I'm personally very, very excited about moving forward. So we know that this is desired, not just because of the surveys and evidence that we pulled together before we put this offer together, but also last week we asked the primary head teachers, if this was your school, not that you're committing to anything, but which of these things would you be interested in? And this is the results from last week. You're going to give me a result from today using the Twitter form or the paper in terms of what do you think your school needs. We're going to pull that together with the evidence we gather from the secondary head teachers next week, and then we can go back to our directors and say, listen, this is what we're looking at and this is what the capacity is looking like before we roll it out in October. In terms of a timeline, I am currently finalising the facilitators. On the form and on the sheet, you will see that you have an opportunity to lead it yourself if you want, you can nominate yourself, or if you think there's somebody at your school that would be really, really good at leading this, please give me their name. I'll contact the head teacher first, don't worry about that, because I will contact them because we're looking to pool expertise wherever we can, and you're on the ground and you understand who's good. In June, we're publicising the brochure with all staff. We need to do that after I present this to the secondary head teachers. Don't have a choice about that, I'm afraid. I have a planning event with facilitators on the 19th of June, where we're pulling all the facilitators for all the events together in the one room. We can start have a day of planning. In August, any tying up loose ends, finish off the attendee list, get that finalised. And then in March 2020, we are going to start planning for our 2020 to 2021 offer. I've been in post 8 weeks, so I understand this is late in coming. We don't want to make that mistake next year. So we're aware that we're kind of behind where we need to be, okay? You can support us by following us on Twitter. Please do that now. We're trying to hit 600. You can help us right now by suggesting colleagues who make strong facilitators. You can do that in the form of the bit of paper. You can, on that form as well, give us your views on what you think next year should look like. You can publicise these opportunities widely. What you can do is also think about how you're going to give your colleagues that go to these events a space to then share their learning, because that's going to be really, really important. These are things that you can do to support us. I'm going to finish there and give you a few minutes to do the form, if that's okay, because this is all about us collaborating together. So this is the offer that was existing last year and is continuing. This is the new offer moving forward into this year. Can I give you 3 or 4 minutes just to discuss with each other or complete that form for me? That would be really, really helpful, because I'm not going to waste this opportunity. Thank you.
Can I just do a quick introduction, folks? I know there's a lot of chat and I'm really not wanting to inhibit that. My name is Ian McDermott. I'm currently seconded out. I'm a primary head teacher, but I'm undertaking the role of Senior Professional Learning Officer in West Lothian. And as Stefan said, making that connection with the RIC, and working across the authorities to make sure that we are providing as much of that holistic offer. And in a lot of ways, it's about reducing the workload and actually making sure that we're producing and delivering high quality CLPL opportunities in the best way that we can. And this workshop's purpose, really, as we set out at the beginning, was to let you see what's on offer, what's coming, but also to provide just that wee bit of headspace around thinking about CLPL in our schools, in our settings, what our current position is, our involvement within that as well. So we're just going to tie things together very briefly, just to kind of have a wee think about this. And in some respects, we're starting to think about that already. How will we know if CLPL is successful in our schools, in our clusters, as a local authority, and wider as a RIC as well? Now, Stephanie's handed out some sticky notes, and you can maybe do this as we're going along, but we're just going to take kind of a few minutes to think about. And there are 3. Where's the third one, Stefan? You've hidden the third one.
I've hidden it round
the corner, right?
There are the toilet.
These 3 headings, and again, to consider these as almost takeaway tasks that you could maybe use back in school as well, either just with your, with your team, with your colleagues. But sometimes it's good to take a temperature in a school and say, how do we know our CLPL is working? And maybe also identify areas to kind of keep looking at as well. So what will it look like? What will we see happening? Stefan's very helpfully done with some logos here because I'm a visual learner. So what will it look like? You know yourself, successful CAT sessions, successful CLPL opportunities, that what it looks like if you walk into that room. Just some comments on a sticky, because we can then collate these as well and pull these together. And Stefan will do that because he's a RIC person who will coordinate our plans. What does it sound like when you walk into a room? What does it feel like? What does it feel like afterwards as well? So you can kind of do that as we're just tying things up together, because I'm going to just very quickly move on to the last handout that you've got. And rather than actually complete the last task here, it's more for something to take away. Because I think it is important on a day like this to take things away and reflect on as well, and also reflect how they can be used in your setting. But that would be very useful for us to collate that, and again to share back out too. So we've got Stephanie here today from Education Scotland, and you will now be familiar. Hopefully you've got a postcard on your seat. I think there were maybe just a few short, but there might be some few extras sitting around. You should hopefully now be familiar, or becoming more familiar, with the new national model for professional learning. What I like about it, and I've said this to colleagues in West Lothian, is that it does fit on 2 sides of a postcard. It's not a weighty tome to be carried around. It's about being able to identify those high-level priorities again of what we want professional learning to look like. This is a very, very useful tool again to share with staff, to even gauge understanding of their professional learning. Where do they see themselves fitting into it? So it's very, very good, and it's just, again, a good point to reference it on today.
Just to add to what Ian's saying, what I really don't want and what I know my team really doesn't want is for this to become a very nice poster that exists on staff room walls. We want it to be something that's engaged with and that's useful to practitioners. So we are in the process at the moment of producing some support around how to engage with this. So there'll be interactive tasks that can be done individually or they can be done as a group to sort of support you on how to use this model, because I appreciate at the moment it's just a very colourful circle. So there will be guides coming and they will be existing on the Education Scotland website, and we will absolutely signpost you to them once they are ready.
And it's about sharing those messages, it's about engaging staff in conversation. and saying, what does this look like in our schools? Where are we seeing this? Where is it working well? And even actually challenging everybody's perceptions of what professional learning is, and saying, what is it that's going to work best for us? That collaborative professionalism. We've got Andy Hargreaves with us this afternoon. He talks about that. What does it look like? How do we engage it? Where is it working well? And as Stephanie said, engaging with those opportunities and those tasks that bring that alive. So one of these, I'm just going to very, very quickly demonstrate one of the handouts that we've got. If we'd had time, I would have asked you to do this just now, but it's a good task to take away because it's quite a flexible tool. It's a recent coaching wheel that the team at SCEL have produced to reflect on. Some of you may have seen it already. Hopefully you're familiar with the structure of a coaching wheel. We like it because it's one of these things, you know, that kind of Scottish psyche will go for a 5 because 5's in the middle and that doesn't look as if I'm going too high or too low. Or I might go to a 6 if I feel I'm maybe good at it some days. But it's a good reflective tool for staff to use. Now the way this one has been set up, and I shared this with head teachers previously, and these kind of bits at the top up here, they can be changed a wee bit, even just as a learner. Because I think, you know, reflecting on teacher leadership, teacher learning, as someone engaged in professional learning, how would I gauge myself around this? And as I say, I did this with head teachers last week. We had a lot of conversation around that, about having professional courage. There in itself is a fantastic discussion opportunity with your staff. What is professional courage when it comes to professional learning? What does it look like? And this is set up actually, I think the second slide is pretty confusing. This second slide, this is if you want to do it in 2 levels. And you might decide you might not want to do that with certain kind of aspects of the staff team. But we did this with head teachers. We asked them, how would they gauge themselves as a leader of learning in their school community? But then we asked them as well, and these are the red parts, within the leadership culture I work in. Now that could work on lots of levels. That could be within our department, that could be within the school, or it could be a reflective task at cluster level, or even at local authority level. What are your staff's perceptions of that? So as I say, due to time, I'll not ask you to complete that just now, but the thing about coaching is they don't take very long. Sometimes they're better done with a gut feeling. Just go around it very quickly and then say, what are we seeing here? So, you know, we felt it was important to give you some takeaway tasks today as well, that you could take away and reflect on how you can use these. Okay?
I can also email electronic copies of these if anybody wants to use them as a, you know, for a lot of people.
Okay. Right, I think at that point there, we just had some questions. Again, time's very much kind of caught up with us today. Stephanie, you just wanted to mention very briefly just about the STEM grants.
Yeah, I'm actually doing this on behalf of my colleague for Forth Valley who is working on STEM. There has been a grant released for teachers for their professional learning on STEM, so you can have funded opportunities to engage with STEM and how to, you know, lead that in your classrooms. So it's just been released today, so this is an information leaflet for anyone that would be interested about it. I'll just stand at the back, and if you want one you can take one as you pass.
And there's a buzz that says coffee is now being served. So we'll just, on behalf of Stephanie and myself, thank you very much.
Thank you.